Good afternoon. This is the Board of County Commissioners Board of Work session. It is Thursday, September 7th, 2023. It is 1:35 p.m. The session is set to go until 2 p.m. This is a hybrid meeting. We're at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, room 110. For public virtual attendance, you may follow along on the Thurston County YouTube channel. I'm Carolina Mejia. I'm the chair of the board. To my right is Vice Chair Ty Menser. To my left is Commissioner Gary Edwards. Also in the boardroom, we have County Manager Ramiro Chavez, as well as Assistant County Manager Robin Campbell. Assistant County Manager Rob Gilder is excused for this meeting. Our topic on the agenda today is Developmental Disabilities Program Update, and we have Mark Moffett here joining us from Public Health and Social Services. So passing it straight to you, Mark.
Great. All right, I'm Mark Moffett, the Social Services Program Manager at Public Health and Social Services. Thank you for inviting me today to highlight our program with developmental disabilities. On our first slide, our team is made up of 6 individuals. Myself, I have Lenice Milam, who is my Quality Assurance Manager. Marcia Longmire, who does is my physical specialist. Candace McCutcheon is my Programs Assistant, and I have 2 vacancies, one in my high school transition, and then also the Special Recreation Supervisor. We're conducting interviews this week and next week for both of those positions. Slide, please. So in our department, we have 2 main programs: developmental disabilities, and what that is mainly is for employment or community inclusion or engagement to get our clients integrated into our community. And then we also have our special recreation program, which is an inclusive program that provides social and leisure activities, mainly in our local community. Sometimes we go outside the community, but we'll talk about that in just a few. Under our developmental disabilities program, we have 3 programs that are directly supported by a state contract with the Developmental Disabilities Administration. That's supported employment, community inclusion, and our high school transition. Also, high school transition is also supported by the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation. We also have community supports and services, which we'll talk about, and that's funded by our county millage dollars. So, supported employment, what is that? Developmental disability, so our clients, they have, once they're DDA eligible, they come to one of our 5 providers to provide individualized supported employment.
Mark, could you explain eligible?
Eligible, I'm not prepared for that one, but under Developmental Disabilities Administration, they have to have an eligible developmental or intellectual disability that is...
So they can receive benefits?
Yes, through DDA, and then also in turn through us.
Can I do a follow-up to that? How do you become, is it through the state that you become eligible, or is it through public health?
No, it's through the state.
Okay.
And then the state gives us those names, and those are the people that we can work with. And the eligibility has to, or the diagnosis has to happen before they turn age 18, which is a very important thing to remember about becoming eligible. So in supported employment, we have 5 agencies that we work with. We don't do the direct services at the county. We do the contracts, we monitor their work, ensure that they're complying with our policies and also with DDA. The 5 agencies we work with is our Morningside, Exceptional Foresters, Career Quest, Center Force, and VODIS. And they provide what supported employment looks like when a client first comes to an agency. They'll do discovery, find out about the individual, what do they want to do, what kind of hours, kind of things that we would think about when we're looking for a job. So they discover about this person. They can also do internships, unpaid internships at local businesses that they work with to see how they work. And then if they want to, maybe they want to work with animals, and then we get an internship at a local vet, and they realize, I really don't like animals, and then we can move on. So it's a really great process that our agencies do. So once we find out what kind of job they want, they can go into job development, and each agency has job developers that will go out into the community and look for that specific job for the client. So if they do want to work at a vet, they will go throughout Thurston and Mason, because I'm sorry, I should have said, it's not just Thurston County we also work with Mason County. We have an MOU with them to provide the same services. So they will go out into the community that this client wants to work in and find the job. Once that person's hired, they have job coaches that will work with them to make sure that they learn the company policies, learn their duties, making sure they're successful on the job. And eventually, that job coach will fade away and have natural supports at that business. Just like the rest of us, we have people that we go to that, that if we have a question, we can go to and ask them questions. They still have supports if they need them, but the idea is to let them be successful on their own at those jobs. That's our support and employment. And then we also have community inclusion. So it's not just about work that we're working with our clients for. It's also what happens after work, making sure that we can fill those gaps. How do we integrate our clients into the community? So community inclusion, if they really enjoy bird watching, for instance, we can help them get into a bird watching club and then again build those internal supports in that club so that we can fade out. We don't want paid people with them all the time. We want the community and that interaction, just like we do, like everybody else does in the community. So we tried to get them involved in whatever activities they really enjoy doing. So that's the community inclusion. There is also, starting this year, which is great, we have what's called dual services. So DDA has allowed us to actually have supported employment and community inclusion at the same time. Before 2023, that wasn't allowed. It wasn't a paid activity through DDA. But now, if an individual wants to work and have that community inclusion support, they're able to do that. One of the other programs we have is called High School Transition. And this is for students who have a developmental disability from the time they're 18 to 21. So typically students will graduate after their 12th year. Our clients, they stay in school at the high school from 18 to 21, and they work on life skills and vocational skills. And so we can, what's great about this is instead of just dropping them off, goodbye, they graduate at 12th grade, we get to work with them on vocational skills, and hopefully by the time they're 21, they have a job as they exit high school. Because once they graduate high school, if it was 12th grade, we tend to lose people in that gap because they're at home and they're not engaged with the community. So this is a great program. We have between 20 and 25 students each year in that program. And then community supports and services. So this is a different way of filling the gaps between work and home life. What this does is answer some of the questions on how do I get to work? What do I do if in my leisure time, or how do I integrate into the community? And through the millage funds, we can help answer those questions for individuals and help them work through it. And we'll talk about all the agencies that we contract with in just a moment. Any questions on those? All right. So here we have community supports and services. It's several pages because we do contract with a lot of agencies, and I'll highlight a couple of them. The Arc of the Peninsula, we contract with them to do several things. One of the interesting things is representative payee. Sometimes our clients, they don't live at home, they don't live in a group home, they live on their own, which we definitely encourage, but they don't have the financial background and budgeting skills to pay bills and to budget their money. So what representative payee does, they come in and they're able to do that for the client. So we're able to fund that through, again, through the millage. So Arc Peninsula does that, and also Coastal Action, or Coastal Community Action does that as well.
Mark,
Yeah.
do you work with the parents of these folks as well to try and get them participating?
Occasionally, mostly through high school transition. So my high school transition coordinator, that person works with the agencies, with DVR, DDA, the client, and the guardian or family member who's maybe be in charge of decision making. And it's interesting you mentioned that. One of the issues that we run across a lot are parents who don't think that their child can work. They don't see that. And so we try to show them some of the success stories, and we just did a video with TC Media, so it should be coming out soon, on that process, on working through high school transition and what that looks like, to give them a better understanding of that. Coastal Community Action is, they do, like I said, they do the representative payee, but one of the really great things they do is they do rural transportation for us. So clients that are not on bus lines, they may live out Shelton, they can live in Mason County, they can live in Thurston County, but if they're not on a bus line and they need support going to work or work-related activities, Coastal can come through with a van. And it's been very successful, in fact, too successful in that they don't have any more capacity. In our RFP, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, we're opening up starting this month. Hopefully they'll be able to add another van to their fleet and allow more access to our clients. But being in a rural area is definitely a hurdle for our clients to get to work. Kakua has two really great services. They have Hummingbird Studio located downtown, which they offer art instruction. We have lots of clients that really enjoy doing that type of activity. Through COVID, Kakua kept the services going virtually, so they would provide that instruction online for them. They also have a LEAD program, so they partner with students at Evergreen and St. Martin's. And if one of our clients comes in and wants to learn about science of some sort, they will partner with one of the students at one of the universities and help the coach through and teach them, you know, rudimentary skills or knowledge about the subject that they're interested in. We also have job clubs, so Morningside and I believe ARC also participates in job club, and that's another way of getting clients accustomed to what job looks like. What are appropriate conversations at the work site? What kind of clothing should I be wearing? And then when they are working, they can bring questions back to the job club, and it's in a very safe and amongst their peers, and they can talk through the issues. People First of Washington, this is a self-advocacy group. Their entire board is made up of people with developmental disabilities, and they do have one advisor there to help guide them, but it's teaching them how to advocate for themselves, and it's a really great organization. They meet monthly. We have a group in Mason and then also here in Thurston County, separate groups. South Sound Parent to Parent, they offer mentoring for parents with children with IDD. And they can refer them to other services as well, but they have peer groups to talk through some of the challenges that they face. And then WISE, which is the Washington Initiative for Supported Employment. They offer technical assistance. Sometimes it's not as straightforward getting somebody a job that's never had a job or may have some other challenges. So WISE can offer technical assistance that maybe our providers don't have internally. So we do contract with them for that as well. Those are the highlights of our community supports. Any questions on those?
I'm saving my questions towards the end. That way you can go through the presentation.
Great. All right. And then this past year, we have served over 500 clients. We have 73% of the clients that want to work are employed. And statewide, that numbers hovers around 65 to 68%. So we're doing better than state average, but we can still do better. And then, as I said before, our concurrent services just started this year, and only 5% of our clients are currently involved in concurrent services. And then looking forward for this program, we want to improve rural transportation options. I'm looking not only at Coastal, but also some of our other providers who have a fleet of cars, and see how they can provide that rural transportation. DDA, Department of Developmental Disabilities, does not pay for transportation, but we know that's we all know it's a huge hurdle for us, so we're trying to be creative in how we're addressing it. We're also trying to increase independence in employment. We have, like I said, about 73% of our clients are employed, but a lot of them have long-term job coaches, and we want to fade away from that. We want the job coach to move away from being there one-on-one. That's not really the intent. Sometimes it's a bad job match. Sometimes it's just, giving that client the room to fail and then succeed and have it be a teaching moment. We're also restarting, so our ACHS Community Development, Association of County and Human Services, which is under WASAC. So we have, I was, prior to COVID, I was the chair for the Veterans Committee and also the Community Protection Committee. We are starting those back up this year. We have our first community protection meeting next week. And so what we do there is we talk amongst our peers around the state to make sure that we're providing the best services for our clients. Instead of doing it in a silo, we get a lot of great ideas by talking to our peers. And then the big thing that's coming up next month, October 5th, we're having our first annual Mason County Resource Fair. And so what we do is we bring in all the providers that provide opportunities for our clients, have them in one location, and then bring in clients and their parents and see that there is a lot of support out there for their child. We do that in Thurston County every year in the spring, and so we're going to be doing in Mason County in the fall. That's it for our DD program. Nope, funding. So the top three programs that I mentioned, high school transition, community inclusion, and supported employment, all funded through DDA, and that's for an annual budget of $6.5 million. And then our millage is what covers our community supports and services. And if you may recall, I came here last month, and so our budget for this coming year is $750,000. And that's for both counties. Okay, specialized recreation. I've talked a lot about bridging the gap between work, because work isn't life, it's how we get through life. And specialized recreation, we've had this program for at least 20 years, maybe more. And we really want to make it more integrated, but right now, primarily it's people with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities. And during COVID, we had to shut it down because most of it's in person. We did a little bit online, but it didn't meet the needs of the client. So last November, we were able to open it back up. We opened it up with pizza and a movie. We have our monthly dances, typically they're themed dances. We have bingo on Saturday. I think it's the first Saturday of the month. I could be wrong on that one. But we do have bingo monthly. And then we also have our bowling league right now, which is really popular. It's over on the West Side Lanes on Wednesday from 4 to 5. So if you guys want to come by and take a look, it's a lot of fun. They get really excited. The strikes are happening all the time, so feel free to come on out.
Put it on the calendar.
It's always my favorite. Yeah, I gotta leave the office. I gotta go bowling, but it's work related. And so we have, I think we have between 20 and 25 clients that routinely participate in that activity. We do want to open it back up. We're starting the swim club in October, which is going to be at North Thurston High School at their pool. And so that's kind of the feeder club for Special Olympics. So that way they can swim all year long. And then we have some other things that we want to do, the next bullet point, community and special events. So we've done the Ole, I've never been out there, but we have gone to the Ole Town Artisans. We've taken a group out there, Wolf Haven. We're looking at more of the local events. In the past, we have gone up to Tacoma and maybe even Seattle, taking groups out there. We just haven't done that since before COVID.
Hey, Mark, time check.
Oh.
So you leave enough room for the board to you.
You bet, okay. Okay, this past year, we have served about 140 individuals. Again, November is when of last year is when we started back up. And then some of those events that I had already mentioned. And our vision for this, we want to open up new funding opportunities. So we do get funding from Tumwater, Lacey, and Olympia. We do get money from the county as well. We'll see that in just a moment. Most of our funding comes from event fees. So I think, and it varies depending on how many events we have, but you'll see it in a moment. We'll go into that. We want to create more recreation events and continue partnership with PARK, which is Parks, Arts, Recreation, and Culture. They donate money to the program to allow us to do scholarships. So individuals that can't afford to do some of our programs, the Park Foundation steps in and provides funding for that. And then here's the budget. So Thurston, as you see, Thurston County grants us $27,000 for the program. Millage money is flexible. That's really there to fill the gap if we don't have enough, because we don't charge the same amount. We try to keep the cost low, and so we bridge that gap with millage money. So I'm going to leave it there. So we do have some question time.
Thank you. Okay. Commissioner Edwards?
Park Foundation, what is Park Foundation?
It is Parks. I wrote it down because I'm really bad with acronyms now.
The process of finalizing the MOU that
That's
you
what
approved.
is,
It's
okay, the same
Same
thing.
organization, yeah.
Okay, so we're trying to get some benefit out of that, it sounds like.
Yeah, we're in the process of reformatting that MOU.
Okay, got it. And on page 11, ACHS Committee Development.
Mhm.
What is that?
So the ACHS is the Association of County and Human Services. So it's under WASAC. And so we have a developmental disability part of that in ACHS. And then we have subcommittees. So community protection is a program in certain counties. So it's a person with developmental disabilities, but they're also involved in the justice system of some sort. And so they are in this program voluntarily to get healthy and move on.
Does, on page 12, your funding components, $7 million or something more. Does that include the 125,000? That looks like an old number, but
I'm sorry, on
page 16.
okay. The program fees.
Yeah, is it total, what are we spending on that? We're spending $7,500,000.
So that budget page is just for special recreation. So that's not, so the other page is what we spend on developmental disabilities, the individual supported employment and community inclusion. So this is a different program. And so a lot of it comes from program fees or donations.
So what, we're getting close to 900,000 or something, the total expenditures that we're.
For that program?
No, for everything.
Oh, for everything.
whole
Yeah,
works.
so it's for the year, I'm trying to do math in public, but yeah, it's just $7.5, $8 million somewhere in that. If you do the millage, the DDA, and then also what we're doing for a special rec.
I mean, we get asked, as a commissioner,
Yeah.
at function someday, it's covering something like this, how much you guys spend on that?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know. I'd rather not use that answer.
Okay.
I'd
No,
rather
yeah.
say $8.5 million or something, just.
Yeah, roughly it's about that.
Yeah.
It goes up. We just had a big boost from DDA this year. We got an increase. So it was much less last year, but around that, just doing this math.
When we get an increase like that, does that cover inflation? Is it kind of geared to cover inflation? Does that in turn help us with our, labor negotiations? How broad does that cover, all the employees that work there? Or are we still finding that somewhere else? Or buying fuel, buying a vehicle? I'm just trying to get a sense from you. We got a minute.
Yeah. So quickly, so the increase, so our admin fee for the last 20 years has been about 7% of what the total is. That's what DDA would give us. This year they went up to 10%. Ledge was able to push them up to 10%. So we actually got a boost. So we're going to cover most of our admin costs, but we were taking some of that from millage to make sure that we were able to provide those services.
Okay, thank you.
My questions are, and we can follow up on
Yeah, you
these
bet.
later on. So with those vacant positions right now that you have, is that affecting any of the programs that we have? Did we have to stop, and how long have they been vacant? My next question, is kind of figuring out what our role is in the developmental disability side. Is it just contracting with the organizations, getting the names from the state, and then just doing that connection? Are we kind of like the middle man, like, so just understanding our role a little bit better. I got it on the specialized recreation, just trying to connect the first side of things. And then, with the organizations that you went through, I think it would be great to see, like, how much we're contracting them with, like, what's the actual amount that we contract with these organizations, and then how many of our clients that we're, referring, how many are they serving out of the whole total amount that you said that were 500 people served? So, like, what's the breakdown of people that they see for these? And then, with the park contract, right, as we're developing this contract, right, and since they're already, assisting us with the 3,000, is there a way to kind of say like, well, this is a priority, can we expand on that and that scholarship program? Is that just a possibility, as we're working for the contract, since now we do have a formalized, or the board has approved to formalize a relationship with the Park Foundation? Is that something that can be installed within it? So those were my questions. I don't need an answer for them right now.
Send an email with those answers, I'll,
You want to just send it direct?
and then I'll share with the board.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay, thank you. Thank
right.
you so much, Mark.
Thanks.
It is 2:02. We are adjourned.
Great.